All right, so good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Savannah, and Sean is here as well, and we are the Refuse Management Specialists here at Busch Systems. So thanks, everyone, for joining and participating in our webinar today on organics. We are expecting that this webinar is going to be about half hour or so in length today. So to prevent any background noise, we have muted all of the mics. However, if you do have any questions, please type them in the question field and we'll be sure to get to them, either as they pop up or we will address them at the end of the webinar. If we run out of time, we'll provide our emails at the end and you can send us your questions that way as well. Also, this webinar is being recorded, so if you know of anyone that would find this information valuable, you can send them the registration link. It takes about 24 hours for the recording to process. So it will be available after then. And also, we've noticed in the past, if you're connected to a Wi-Fi connection or viewing on a mobile device, you may run into some technical issues along the way. So the software will work best if you use Google Chrome and if you are connected via an Ethernet connection. And also on that note, we're running a couple polls today. So if you are in full screen mode viewing the webinar slides, you won't be able to see the poll questions unless you exit out of the full screen mode. So we'll let you know when we're launching those polls so you can be ready. Okay, I think we're ready to get started.
Today on this webinar, we're going to be exploring organic waste. We're going to be looking at everything from what organic waste is, some challenges that are associated with collection, and solutions to help you combat these challenges. The information discussed today can be applied to your office and business setting as well as within your own households. When the discussion of recycling and waste management first comes up, the subject of organic waste is often forgotten. The reasoning for this is that it could involve many factors, but most commonly is that people don't see organics and food waste as a potential resource. Hopefully this webinar is going to change that mentality and give you the strategies you need to start making a difference in your home or office. So I'll start off the conversation today by first defining what organics is, and then taking a look at some current facts and statistics. Organic waste is defined as a waste of biological origin, such as paper, cardboard, food, garden waste, animal waste, biosolids, and sludges. Now, I'm sure you're well aware that some of these items may not belong in a green bin at your office, like animal waste, and some of them shouldn't go in the green bin at home either, like paper and cardboard.
Okay, so we're just getting some comments here that the Sean's mic might be a little bit mumbly here. So can you guys hear me okay on my mic? You can just comment in the public chat that's open there. Okay, so my mic looks like it's okay. So just Sean. Okay, so Sean's voice is coming through both the mics. Okay. All right, we're gonna try it again here with Sean's mic. We've reset it, so hopefully it has corrected itself now. But if you guys can just comment when Sean starts speaking again, so we can make sure that we get some clear audio, that'd be great.
Is it much better now? No, I can still hear it. We'll just switch the mics back and forth.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's go ahead.
We'll just get the slides up there.
Oh yeah, you're such a dude. Okay, now carrying on, I'm sure you're well aware that some of these items may or may not belong in a green bin at your office, like animal waste, and that some shouldn't go in a green bin at home either, like paper or cardboard. But the fact is that these materials are organic and can biodegrade or decompose. It's this lack of variant or standardization that was collected in the green boxes that is a point of discussion we'll touch on in a few minutes.
So one of the reasons why we should separate organics and food products from the rest of our waste stream is because of what happens to it when it reaches the landfill. When organics start to break down, they decompose and release a gas called methane. And we know that this gas is 20 times more harmful than carbon dioxide, which is one of the worst offenders for increasing the effects of climate change. Actually, in the year 2015, about 18% of U.S. Methane emissions came from the decomposition of organic material found in landfills. So not only this, but the collected organic waste can actually be used as a resource. I'm sure you've all heard of organic composting before, where biodegradable items are managed in a way that the byproduct is a extremely healthy, high nutrient soil. and the compost has been shown to have a lot of benefits over traditional topsoil or store-bought soil, as it provides a habitat for fauna and microbes responsible for plant growth. In addition, it decreases contaminants, improves water retention, and decreases soil erosion too, by improving the soil structure and also reducing the need for chemical fertilizers. So composting really helps to reduce the amount of waste going into the landfill, and it also finds a new use for it, one that improves both the local environment and can save money on lawn maintenance.
Okay, so we're going to launch a poll right now. Just remember that you do have to exit the full screen mode in order to be able to see the questions pop up. But if you just want to click on the answer that most relates to yourself, then we can kind of tabulate all the results afterwards. So where is it that you collect organics inside of your house or your office? Do you collect them at home? Do you collect them at your office? Do you collect them at your home and office, or neither?
No speaker.
So on average, organic waste makes up about 20 to 30% of household collection programs in the United States. So by collecting these types of materials, we're actually removing a large volume of food scrap and other organics from the landfill. The U.S. Composting Council estimates that approximately 72% of all waste that is sent to landfills is classified as organic material. Only 12% of this falls under the category of food scraps. This equates to
hang on, Sean.
Yep.
It just says cannot hear or see content. Okay, I'm going to turn my mic on. Okay, so we just had a comment that the I can hear and see all is fine. Okay, perfect. So I think we're okay, so we can continue along.
So the U.S. Composting Council estimates that approximately 72% of all waste that is sent to landfills is classified as organic material. Only 12% of this falls under the category of food scraps. This equates to about $160 billion in food waste annually, and it's estimated to be about half of all food that's produced that's wasted. So this food scraps make up only a small percentage of the organic waste that's sent to landfill every year, not including yard waste, wood, leather, and paper, which make up the remaining 60%. So taking a look at the poll results here, I see that about 21% of you, or sorry, 21 or 66% of you say that you collect organics in your home and office. So that's great. So hopefully we're going to be able to give you guys some kind of strategies to help you improve your systems, because it seems like most of you are kind of already on track as to how to implement a system in your home or office. So we will be able to give you guys some good tips and tricks as to how to kind of get the most out of your system.
All right. So collecting organics at your home or office provides a great opportunity to increase your diversion rate and also shrink your environmental footprint. So to get you started, we're going to delve into how to implement a successful organic collection program and some of the challenges and hurdles that you might run into along the path. So starting up a new program can be a challenge all in itself and can sometimes feel a little bit overwhelming for sure. So hopefully by the end of this webinar, you will have a firm grasp on what you need to do to be successful in your organic collection.
So the first step in this journey is actually the initial planning stage. Before you begin, you should determine if organic collection is sensible and an effective solution for your office or business. Is it worth the time to start collecting these types of materials, and are you generating enough to start separating them? The best way to do this is to perform a waste audit, to sort and separate all the materials within your containers to see exactly what it is that you're generating in your facility. A high percentage of material is food waste and organics. Implementing a new collection program would be a great way to start really increasing your diversion rate and send less materials to landfill and potentially save you some money along the way.
So another important factor is to include all members. So after you've determined the need for an organics program, but before you really begin to implement it, you have to understand that you want to ensure that you articulate a comprehensive strategy that consists of goals aimed at both collecting and ultimately reducing food waste. So in order to achieve this, your strategy should include a variety of staff members from your facility, both upper management employees, purchasing and logistics members, and also custodial staff. This way you're including and considering what this plan will look like for all groups of the company. If you were to create a plan with maybe only upper management decision makers and not really consider any of the staff that are on the front line, you might be blind to some of the obstacles that they are faced with. Or maybe you're unaware that their servicing carts that they are using, that those would need to be extended in order to separate the organics. So by including all staff members in the planning stage, this will ensure you have all your bases covered and also gives a sense of ownership, increasing the likelihood of proper participation.
Once you start collecting and separating organics, how do you know what to do with it? So there are a couple options that are available to you. First of all, one is to have it picked up by a hauler, or the second is to create a compost station. Both have their pros and cons, and what you do with the waste is really specific to your business and your independent needs. Having your organics collected by a hauler is a great option because it's fast, it's easy, and it takes the responsibility of dealing with the waste off of you. Your job is to simply ensure that the materials are collected, serviced containers, pay the fees, and make sure that they're ready at curbside during the pickup time. By using a hauler, you can trust that the materials are being taken care of properly and that the materials are being used to generate either clean fuel or compost.
The second solution is to collect your organics and turn them into compost. So if you have the space at your facility for a compost station, this is really a great option for many different reasons. First, by avoiding haulers, you're saving the costs associated with hauler pickup. Composting at the office also encourages staff to participate and get involved with maintaining the compost. So compost is, as we know, the use of biodegradable waste that usually can't be recycled and uses it to provide nutrients for plants through the nutrient cycle. So this is where essential nutrients like carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus enter the soil community through decomposition and are then absorbed through the roots of living plants. Typically used for gardens and for farming practices, composting provides plants with nutrients while also treating the soil so that it can hold water better and nutrients longer. The benefit to composting organics is that it not only provides food for the plants, but it also protects them from pests. It can play a role in waste reduction. Not only are fruits and vegetable peels usable, but also other waste like coffee grinds and non-bleached paper and things like hair can also be composted.
Another thing you have to think about when beginning an organics collection program is that you need to consider the number of containers that you're going to be using, as well as the types of containers. So consider partnering with a recycling container manufacturer who offers plenty of customizability options to ensure your containers not only seamlessly blend in with your environment, but also improve your recycling rates and are standardized across your entire building. Pictured here is our wastewater series of recycling and waste containers with customizable sign frames, labels, colors, and restrictive openings. This type of standardization in your office will help to avoid confusion and keep consistency. It'll also look nice at the same time. So another important aspect to consider in the planning stage is where your bins are going to be placed. So when you conducted your preliminary waste audit, you should take a look at the areas of your office that produce large volumes of either food waste or organic type materials. These will likely be in high traffic areas like your kitchens, your employee lounges, and if paper towel and toilet paper are considered organic in your municipality, washrooms would be a great spot for an organic container as well. Make sure that you measure these areas to ensure that the additional organic containers will fit in the space and that the capacity of the containers themselves will be enough to handle the volume. Taking the extra time and care in these early planning stages can really help the rest of your program take off.
So also along the same lines of our implementation stage, we're going to take a look at education, awareness, and communication. So this is a common challenge that you may face when developing or rolling out this new strategy. You may notice that items are ending up in the wrong bin, leading to contamination of one or multiple streams. A second key step in creating the successful organic collection program is to create an awareness campaign that both educates and informs your company on the new initiative that you're presenting and how people can positively contribute to the success of the new program. If people really understand the need to improve a program, then you're going to see participation rates increase. You can use posters, signage, and give positive feedback when you first start up your program, and this will just encourage your staff to continue to do great things.
So an issue that we run into time and time again with recycling is the issue of lack of standardization. Every municipality collects different materials in their green bin. For example, diapers not accepted in the organics bin here where we operate. However, an hour away in the city of Toronto, they are accepted. The same goes for disposable coffee cups. In our city, they're disposed of in the green bin, but Toronto considers them waste. So this results in a lot of confusion and frustration for residents or people who just want to be able to do the right thing and help preserve the environment. But everywhere they go, different items are being accepted, and it's just causing way too much confusion. So one solution we can use to help combat this is actually to contact your local municipality and find out exactly what's accepted in your organics program. Educate yourself so that you can make the proper choices, and share this knowledge with your family and coworkers. Being aware of the materials that are accepted through your municipality's waste and recycling program makes the system operate more effectively.
Just to answer Alicia's question in the chat, will a recorded version be available? Yes, we record all of our webinars, so they are available on our channel. The recording takes about 24 hours to process. So after that time, using the registration link that you used to get into this webinar, if you click that, it will take you to the recorded version, so you can access it that way. So moving along, one of the most important aspects of reducing food waste, both at home and in the workplace, is to simply avoid excess food to begin with. So only make enough for a meal that you're cooking or that you're planning on eating. For company events, take note of how many individuals will actually be eating and plan the quantity of food accordingly. You can use things like posters and educational material to highlight this issue of food waste, encouraging staff to only buy what they're going to use and to start to cut back. These types of educational materials are really awesome in a cafeteria or a kitchen setting. We found that by putting up posters on our fridge in our kitchen or above our containers there has also worked really well. Some organizations have even taken this zero waste food challenge to the next level by having an awareness week with things like infographics, tips, tricks, and sharing this type of information between employees with the focus on ensuring edible food gets used up. So by creating this platform where employees can share rescued recipes, leftovers, and trimmings that would normally be tossed, are finding new life in delicious and enjoyable meals. Some offices have even implemented a leftovers fridge, and this is where employees can bring in unfinished entrees and to be eaten at work and shared by whoever wishes to give it a try.
Now we're just going to go over a couple considerations that might not be as intuitive or might not come to mind as easy as some of the other things we've discussed, but they're definitely things that you should kind of evaluate as you're implementing your organics program. So the first of which is that organic waste is really heavy. So this is another challenge that you're going to have to overcome. I know that lifting a little kitchen bag at your home, you could be pretty surprised at the weight of such a little bag. So ensuring that your staff are trained on the proper collection and are physically capable of lifting these bags from containers is critical. So you have to ensure that the bins are within proper weight limitations and that the bins can be serviced from an angle that is going to basically be safe for your custodial staff to do so. So in the early stages of planning, it would be imperative to speak with the union representative to ensure that any restrictions are known and to follow proper protocol, so there are no surprises along the way. Ensuring regular servicing can also help to minimize the weight of the bags throughout the building.
So another challenge you may come across when implementing your organics program is the issue of smell. So it's inevitable that whenever you have a mix of food waste and other organic material, you're going to start having some funny smells developing. So luckily there are some green bins that are manufactured with vents and carbon filters, and these really help to neutralize the odors associated with organic collection. And to combat this aesthetic issue, ensure that the contents are emptied frequently. This is really key. And also disposed of in a latched or locked dumpster. And this also minimizes the likelihood of pests finding the meal.
Often overlooked when starting an organics program is the need for organic bags. So these bags are specifically designed to be used during collection as they're compostable and break down in a reasonable time frame. There are many options for organic bag suppliers, and they come in all shapes and sizes. To avoid smells and fruit flies, ensure the bins are emptied on a regular basis and frequent schedule. Our wastewater containers also come with flat solid lid with venting and carbon-activated filters to avoid fruit flies, moistures, and odors. Also make sure you coordinate with custodial staff to ensure that the bins will make it to the curb in time.
Sorry, we're just getting our ducks in a row over here. Okay, so now we want to share a little bit of our own experience implementing an organics program here at our Busch Systems office. So as refuse management specialists, it's our responsibility to analyze our company's strategies when it comes to handling refuse and implement a reduction strategy. After performing a few different company-wide waste audits to get an understanding of our waste stream, it was determined that organics were responsible for a considerable amount of our waste. So Sean led the project to get the ball rolling on an organic collection program, and at first it seemed like it wouldn't be that difficult. After all, we are a recycling manufacturer of specialized organic bins. However, there were a couple hiccups that we faced along the way that we want to talk about and share with you, as they provide some really good key learning opportunities for other people.
So I see a couple questions coming in here. Courtney asked if the lids with the filters that we use for organics with the carbon activated filters and the vents are available in other colors. Anything that we do here at Busch Systems, as long as we have a certain minimum order quantity, we can pretty much be customizable with any kind of colors that you would prefer. I believe that the green vented option is kind of our stock option, but we could certainly talk afterwards and see if it would be a possibility to be able to get the vented lid in another option for you. I see that there was also another question having to do with the OXO bags. What studies have been showing now, there's kind of growing scientific evidence that the OXO bags are kind of breaking down, but they're not fully decomposing, or they're not fully kind of going back to their natural state. What's happening is that they're breaking apart into kind of millions of these tiny little pieces, and then ultimately ending up in our oceans and our waters. They're really contributing to kind of like the plastic issue that we're seeing in the oceans right now. That's basically why the OXO biodegradable bags are generally not the way to be going right now. So following along with our guide from earlier, the first step is to perform a waste audit, or that was the first step that we did here at Busch Systems, was to perform a waste audit, which we do here frequently already. So we already had the data that we needed to be able to make an informed decision that organics needs to be collected. Next, we need to ensure that our company's management was on board with such an initiative. Luckily, Busch Systems is a pretty environmentally conscious company, and we're more than willing to make it happen. So what we did is we got our sustainability committee together. We invited representatives from all of our different departments, including sales, product research and development, and custodial services, to make sure that the operations throughout the company wouldn't be negatively impacted by an organics program, and that everybody's considerations and inputs were going to be heard.
So after analyzing the waste audit reports and concluding as a team that we needed to implement this organic collection, we looked at some different options for haulers and collection services. So this brought us to our first learning experience, which was ensure that you are talking to the correct people. So after researching hauler options, we contacted our city's waste management division to start talking about servicing options. However, there was a little bit of a miscommunication with the representative for solid waste management contracts, and we were led to believe that we were in a pickup zone that was free for organic collection for businesses. Unfortunately, this was not the case, as we later found out when we called back to finalize the service, and this miscommunication, it put our project behind, and now we had to go back to upper management for approval for a budget for this project, which we initially thought was going to be free.
So after sorting out this issue, we began talks with the service provider about the number of containers we would need, which brings us to learning experience number 2. Use information that you gained during your waste audit process to determine the amount of servicing you're going to need for your new organic containers. Initially, the price that they quoted us for was for twice the number of containers that we were going to need to be serviced, and it took a bit of communication with the sales rep to get them to reduce the quoted price based on the fact that we wouldn't need that much. Having information on how much waste you are generating and how much waste you are producing can help you in determining the number, size, and frequency of your containers.
So after the quantity discussion came from the contract terms, was learning experience number 3, which was opt for a trial run before full rollout. So when starting a brand new project, generally you want to run a trial run before committing to anything long term, just to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So the hauler initially wanted us to sign a long-term contract, but we requested a month-by-month service just to be a part of our pilot run, allowing us to give the flexibility to be able to discontinue or postpone the service if need be. So additionally, our pilot phase allowed us to notice some issues like the need for additional education and signage for staff, as well as ensuring the containers were emptied every day to avoid any odor or fruit fly issues that we were having.
So another thing that our pilot and our waste audit showed us was that a considerable amount of organic material, such as the paper towels and Kleenex, was actually ending up in our bathroom stream. So learning experience number 4 would be consider an organic bin in your washroom. In our city, paper towels, Kleenex, and toilet paper are all collected in the organic stream, so it made sense to introduce it into the washrooms to make sure that all these biodegradable bathroom products were actually being removed from the waste stream and diverted from the landfill.
So after the planning phase and successful pilot run had been completed, it came time for a full rollout. So this involves us holding a company-wide meeting to communicate to everyone at one time and educate our staff on the new bins, the locations, and what materials were accepted in the new containers. So again, because our staff is full of environmentally conscious people, this was not really an issue. To ensure all of our staff and visitors to our building were properly educated and informed, we gathered appropriate signage and labels that were in high visibility areas, including by every bin in the building, which indicated the exact materials that were accepted in which container.
So the final piece of this puzzle was ensuring progress is being made towards our waste reduction goals. This was achieved by tracking the success using the Busch Systems Resource Center, which is a free online tool that we've helped develop that will allow you to track your waste at the individual container inside of your building. The Resource Center gives you valuable insights into what waste is being generated and where it's being generated inside of your building. We also create a sustainability report once or twice a year that highlights our company's initiatives in regards to all things related to sustainability. This gives our staff the knowledge of what great things are happening in the office, and it's a great external communication tool as well.
So throughout the initiative, we ran across an issue that plagues any sustainability manager or waste management coordinator, the excessive mountain of accumulating coffee cups, and Busch Systems was no exception to this. So to combat the issue of disposable coffee cups in our office, we actually installed a coffee machine and sourced out a company that's called On the Way Cafe, and it provides all different types of coffees and teas. So the individual coffee pods for this machine, as well as the packaging, are actually made of a material called Tech Pack and are all fully compostable and disposed of in the organics bin.
So the coffee provider themselves actually gave us disposable coffee cups to go with the machine, but that was kind of going against what we were trying to do here. So to help get rid of the coffee cups that were supplied by the vendor, our CEO actually hosted an event called Get Mugged by the CEO, where he collected over 100 mugs from his travels, and the staff were invited to pick out one that suited their personality that they could use at the office. So since installing this new coffee machine and since getting all of our own reusable mugs, we've actually seen a drastic decrease in the amount of coffee cups that are being disposed of inside of the building. So now that we know why we collect organics and how we can do so at home or the office, some of you might be interested in knowing a little bit more about what happens once they hit the curb. How do municipalities handle such a large quantity of organic waste? So one such method of treating organic waste on a large scale, and probably the most common, is called aerobic composting, or aerated windrow composting. So this is where organic waste is laid out in long rows of long piles called windrows, and is aerated by turning the pile of material periodically, either manually or mechanically. The turning of the windrow is important because it speeds up the process by breaking up the preferential air pathways, and it brings the material from the outside of the pile into the center to kill all the harmful bacteria. The size of the windrow is pretty important because if your windrow is too small, it can lose its heat too quickly and it will not achieve the proper temperature to evaporate all the moisture and negative bacteria. And if the windrow is too large, there's potential for zones to exist without oxygen in the middle of the pile. This releases odors when turned. The composting stage generally lasts about 3 to 9 weeks, and depending on the nature of the material, the frequency of turning, and the local climate conditions.
So if the municipality that you're in doesn't have the land space available for windrow composting, vessel composting is also another option. So this is where organics are fed into a drum or a silo, and where conditions like temperature, moisture, and aeration are controlled. So the mechanism actually has a structure that turns and agitates the material for proper mixing and aeration. The system works aerobically, so it produces very little odor and minimal leachate, and has the added benefit of less manual labor.
Finally, another method of treating organic waste is called anaerobic digestion, and it's really been rising in popularity for its ability to handle huge quantities and mixtures of organic waste all at once while creating energy while it does so. So in this facility, tiny microscopic bacteria digest the blended material, and it results in a rich, valuable compost and a biogas. So this biogas is actually the methane that we were discussing earlier, and during the digestion stage, it's actually given off in quite a quantity that we can now capture and burn off to use for electricity for either local households, to fuel local industrial plants, or also to power, to potentially power alternatively fueled vehicles.
All right, so just to start winding down our webinar today, so we know that change does not happen overnight. It's been said that one of the best ways that we can encourage participation in waste diversion and in reduction strategies, both at home and in our business, is to educate and motivate the office to make small changes in their everyday lives. So global issues can't be solved by individuals. It really takes a collection of like-minded individuals to share and create a platform of learning with one another. So as you've heard today, setting up a new collection stream can sometimes be a challenge, and there's definitely going to be some unforeseeable situations that may pop up along the way. But we hope that we were able to shed a little bit of light on some of these issues and give you some constructive solutions on how to avoid some of these same mistakes.
So this pretty much wraps up our webinar today on organic collection. We hope you all enjoyed the webinar. Thank you very much for dealing with the technical issues that we were having. Sorry that the mic that I'm using right now probably currently still isn't the best quality, but thank you for sticking through it. After about 24 hours, there'll be a recording of this webinar available using the same link that you used to register. We're probably going to end up having to record it again because of all the issues that we had, but hopefully the recording that we send you guys will be one that is of better quality and more concise and to the point. So our contact information is up on the screen now as well, so you're welcome to send any questions or feedback you have that way. We've also filmed a couple of video blog episodes on organic collection that are available to see on our Busch Systems YouTube channel. So again, thank you everybody for joining and participating today. Our next webinar will be Thursday, June 28th at 10 a.m. EST, and the topic we're going to be focusing on is actually the psychology and behavior patterns of recycling. So why do certain types of materials work better for recycling? Do we use more positive messaging? Should we use negative messaging? How do restrictive openings and different colors of containers, how do these actually influence our choices? And what can we do to help improve our recycling rates inside of our buildings by kind of manipulating the psychology of the people who are using the system? We'll be receiving an invitation to that webinar via email, and we hope that you can join us then. Have a great day. We'll be sticking around for another 10 or 15 minutes to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.